We all have memories that linger in the quiet corners of our minds, those moments that resurface unbidden, uninvited, and often with the intensity of the day they first occurred. Perhaps it's a conversation gone wrong, a glance that pierced more deeply than words, or a mistake we wish we could erase. These memories don't just fade into the background like the rest of our experiences, they haunt us. They replay in loops, coloring our thoughts, shaping our behaviors, and sometimes dictating our emotions in ways we barely understand. But why do some memories haunt us forever while others drift away, unnoticed? Understanding this begins with exploring the delicate interplay between our emotions, cognition, and the very architecture of memory itself. Memory is not a perfect recording of events. Our brains don't archive experiences like files in a cabinet. Instead, memories are constructed and reconstructed, shaped by emotion, attention, and meaning. Strong emotional arousal, whether fear, shame, grief, or even intense joy, engraves experiences more deeply into our memory systems. Neurologically, this involves the amygdala, a small, almond-shaped cluster of neurons that responds to emotional significance. When we experience something intensely emotional, the amygdala signals the hippocampus to encode the memory more robustly, making it vivid, detailed, and, at times, painfully indelible. This is why a single traumatic event can feel like it happened yesterday, even decades later, while a mundane day at work disappears almost immediately. Our minds are wired to remember what matters most, what threatens our safety, our sense of self, or our emotional equilibrium. Yet, the haunting nature of memories goes beyond mere emotional intensity. Some experiences touch the core of our identity, challenging how we see ourselves, our relationships, or our place in the world. Memories that undermine our sense of safety, trust, or self-worth have a way of embedding themselves in our psyche. Imagine a child who is repeatedly criticized or neglected. Each incident, individually, may seem small, but collectively, they form a tapestry of shame and fear. As adults, these memories may manifest as anxiety in social settings, self-doubt in relationships, or a persistent fear of rejection. The memory isn't just an event, it's a signal, an internal warning system that continues to influence decisions, perceptions, and reactions long after the original situation has passed. Cognitive psychology provides further insight into why certain memories remain vivid and distressing. Our brains are not passive observers, they actively interpret, analyze, and reconstruct memories. Rumination, for instance, the repetitive thinking about past events reinforces neural pathways, making memories more accessible and emotionally charged. When we dwell on a mistake or relive an argument in our minds, the act of remembering strengthens the memory's emotional impact. This explains why some people wake up in the middle of the night, heart racing, recalling a moment they would rather forget. Each replay is like adding a layer of paint to an already vivid image, deepening its presence in the mind. Furthermore, the way memories are contextualized can dictate how haunting they become. Memories tied to unresolved conflict, guilt, or regret often lack closure. Our brains crave resolution; without it, the memory lingers, nagging at the subconscious. This is why unspoken words or unfinished interactions often linger longer than clear-cut experiences. The memory exists in a state of tension, unresolved, demanding attention until some form of understanding, acceptance, or reconciliation occurs. There's also the role of associative memory, the way one memory can trigger another. Certain smells, sounds, or images can act as keys, unlocking memories we thought we had buried. Walking past a playground might trigger a flash of childhood embarrassment. Hearing a certain song may summon a long-forgotten heartbreak. These triggers operate outside of conscious control, illustrating that haunting memories are not just a matter of thinking, they are intertwined with our perception and environment. Our minds are constantly connecting dots, and sometimes those connections drag us back to emotional landscapes we thought we had left behind. Psychologically, the haunting nature of memories can also be tied to attachment and interpersonal dynamics. Human beings are inherently relational creatures, and experiences with those we love or feel betrayed by carry profound weight. Memories of rejection, betrayal, or abandonment can linger because they strike at the fundamental need for connection and safety. When someone we trust violates that trust, the memory functions as both a warning and a wound. It teaches us to be cautious, to protect ourselves, and yet it also leaves us vulnerable to anxiety, mistrust, or difficulty forming new connections. The haunting memory is, in a sense, the mind's mechanism for preserving survival, emotional and social survival, not just physical safety. There is also an existential dimension to why memories haunt us. Certain experiences challenge our worldview or sense of meaning. Trauma, loss, and personal failure don't just leave emotional scars, they provoke deep questions about fairness, control, and the randomness of life. Memories of these moments linger because they force us to confront our own vulnerability, mortality, and the limits of our agency. The haunting is not arbitrary, it is a signal that some part of us is still negotiating meaning, still searching for understanding in the face of incomprehensible events. Even the language we use to process memory shapes its persistence. Internal narratives, the stories we tell ourselves about what happened, can either exacerbate or alleviate the haunting nature of memories. Someone who interprets a painful experience as a personal failing may carry shame and self-criticism for years. Another person, confronted with the same experience, might reinterpret it as a learning moment, reducing its emotional charge over time. In this sense, haunting memories are not merely about what happened, they are about how we internalize, frame, and give meaning to what happened. In everyday life, these haunting memories can manifest subtly or profoundly. They might appear as hesitation, hypervigilance, or perfectionism. Relationships may be affected, as trust and intimacy are filtered through past wounds. We might avoid certain situations, people, or challenges, not out of rational assessment, but because the memory subtly dictates fear and expectation. Emotionally, we may feel a persistent undercurrent of anxiety, sadness, or guilt, even when the present offers safety and comfort. Physically, stress hormones can be triggered by recalling these memories, affecting sleep, appetite, and overall health. The influence of haunting memories is holistic, they shape the mind, body, and behavior in ways that can be difficult to separate from the self. However, while some memories remain vivid and painful, the mind is not powerless. Psychological research suggests that memory is malleable. Through processes like cognitive reframing, mindfulness, and trauma-focused therapy, the emotional intensity of memories can be reduced. Reflecting on memories with compassion and curiosity, rather than judgment, allows us to integrate them into a coherent narrative rather than remain captive to them. The goal is not to erase the memory, it is impossible, but to reshape the relationship we have with it, transforming it from a haunting specter into a source of insight and growth. Healing from haunting memories often requires patience and intentionality. It may involve confronting what was once unbearable, speaking truths that were left unspoken, or forgiving ourselves for choices made in imperfect circumstances. It may require seeking connection, expressing vulnerability, and recognizing that painful experiences, while formative, do not define our entirety. Over time, the sharp edges of memory dull, and its influence can shift from disruption to understanding. The haunting fades, not because we forget, but because we learn to hold our memories differently, with wisdom and empathy. Ultimately, the haunting quality of some memories reminds us that we are human. Our minds are designed to care deeply, to feel intensely, and to learn from experience. The memories that linger are markers of significance, they tell us what matters, what shaped us, and what we must continue to process to grow. They are not curses, but invitations to self-awareness. By examining them, we gain insight into our fears, desires, and resilience. We learn where we have been wounded and where we have the capacity to heal. So, when a memory rises unbidden, it can be painful, but it is also a doorway. A doorway into understanding the mind, the heart, and the self. By approaching these memories with empathy, curiosity, and patience, we can begin to loosen their grip. We can allow ourselves to feel without being defined by pain, to remember without being trapped, and to carry our past with wisdom rather than burden. Haunting memories are part of our story, but they are not the story in its entirety. We have the capacity to navigate them, integrate them, and emerge more self-aware, resilient, and compassionate. And so, the memories that haunt us forever are not permanent prisons. They are echoes calling us to deeper understanding, to a gentler relationship with ourselves, and to the quiet courage of living fully despite the weight of what we carry. Healing does not demand forgetting, it demands recognition, reflection, and the willingness to see ourselves as more than our past. In that recognition lies freedom. In that reflection, growth. And in that willingness, hope.